GamingBolt presents 15 games that don't even try to hold your hand. Tutorials in video games aren't terrible, but the excessive hand-holding that some titles emphasize can get pretty annoying. Sometimes you just want to figure things out for yourself, even if it means making tons of mistakes along the way. In that respect, we decided to take a look at 15 games that don't even try to hold your hand, pushing you to explore beyond the bounds of safety and deal with the consequences. Dark Souls. The epitome of games that don't hold your hand. From Software's challenging hack-and-slash title provides a few basic instructions and then thrusts you into a world of pain. Forget the poised debates of Dark Souls 3 or whether Dark Souls 2 was even any good. Many players had a tough time just surviving in this age of fire and darkness. Where to go, what to do, whether you should kill that guy praising the sun, and so on and so forth. Of course, thanks to the summoning and message systems, players could actually help each other through tough situations. This ironically resulted in one of the more helpful communities out there. Bloodborne. Dark Souls didn't exactly tell you how to deal with its trials, but Bloodborne took things a step further. Bloodborne takes away any viability to wield shields and speeds up the combat, challenging players to get aggressive or die. The storytelling is way more fragmented, pushing the player deeper and deeper into a Lovecraftian-like nightmare. Again, while the summoning and message systems may help, Bloodborne pushes you to survive against all odds and rarely lets up. Fez. On the surface, Fez feels like a cute, old-school platformer with a simple objective. Just collect all of the cubes, as they say. However, this will take the player on a long-winded journey laced with secrets and hidden areas. No hints, no helping hand, nothing to guide you. Suffice to say, you'll need to work hard to find every single cube in Fez and effectively complete the game. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter isn't interested in handholding because it wants to be a very difficult game. Instead, it seeks to preserve the mystery of the story, inviting players to be immersed in its world. Though short, it's a very emotional game and definitely worth checking out if first-person adventures are your thing. The Witness. Credit where it's due to Thelka Inc. and Jonathan Blow. They've crafted a truly mysterious world in The Witness. Puzzles can seemingly offer no rewards or have effects you won't notice. The world is nonplussed about whether you understand its ultimate purpose. It exists for you to comprehend, not to cater to your every whim. The fact that many puzzles require proper observation and understanding of perspective all on your own reinforces its standoffish nature. Myst. The forefather of dropping players onto an island and making them figure things out, Myst still has some of the most frustrating puzzles in an adventure game. There are puzzles that have multiple solutions and where logic must be applied in an absurd fashion. Dials, switches, levers, the whole kit and caboodle must be manipulated in order to progress in Myst. But hey, at least it looked good for its time. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Outside of starting regions and its shrines, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild embraced the old-school spirit of adventure. There are quests and side quests. Unlocking towers doesn't fill up the map with icons. You have to find everything on your own. New weapons must be scrounged up after old ones break. Meals cooked to help you survive against tough enemies, and new regions often bring new sights and dangers. While it's definitely not as punishing as, say, Dark Souls, Breath of the Wild wants the player to make their own path rather than sticking to a defined path. XCOM UFO Defense. At first, XCOM UFO Defense starts like a tactical strategy role-playing title about saving the world. Then, a unit dies and they don't come back. Oh, you didn't know this? Well, tough luck. Better get a new one. If a level isn't generated to your liking with the right enemies to face, then that could mean an easy defeat for your squad. XCOM UFO Defense makes no bones about taking away everything you've worked so hard to obtain. Darkest Dungeon. Speaking of taking away everything you've ever loved, there's Red Hook's Darkest Dungeon. You'd think it's about surviving the most horrifying trials imaginable with a plucky squad, but nope. You'll send in party after party to garner the most riches in dungeons, driving them insane in the process before finally cutting them loose and repeating the process. Party members will die or become emotionally scarred, the darkness will wreak havoc with their senses, and the game cares not about your feelings in this process. Shadow of the Colossus. Like many games on this list, Shadow of the Colossus has no problem telling you the objective. Find the Colossi and slay them. Your magic sword will lead the way. Now, how to go about killing the Colossi is a completely different story. Where are their weak points? How do you reach those weak points? If it's flying, how do you get it down? If it's too aggressive, where do you look for an opening? Shadow of the Colossus is very minimalistic, and that extends to how much it guides the player's efforts as well. Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World is a lot better than previous entries when it comes to the progression from low rank to high rank and eventually tempered farming. That being said, beating certain monsters, discovering their elemental weaknesses, and even figuring out how to make certain items are all left to the player. The basic gist is provided, but if you want to know how to fight Kulve Taroth, or which tempered alert level needs to be farmed for what, then it's left to your own discovery. Destiny. When it first launched in 2014, Destiny was infamous for its post-level 20 endgame. How do you increase light levels? Where do you get exotics? What are legendary shards? Where can you find groups for nightfalls and raids? What is the difference between certain recoil-reducing perks? Bungie preferred leaving the answers up to its former fans, much to their dismay. However, it did help form what is now a very strong, albeit finicky, community. The Elder Scrolls III Morrowind. One of the most famous Elder Scrolls titles of all time, and the game that helped save Bethesda from bankruptcy. The Elder Scrolls III Morrowind embraced player freedom. Quest markers were absent, fast travel isn't an option. 5 minutes into the game, you're left with nothing but a journal and a message saying, "You're on your own now, good luck." Find your own path and see what stories lay waiting. That was the Elder Scrolls way. Inside. Playdead's Inside thrives on the unknown. It presents threats like mysterious men kidnapping and brainwashing ordinary people. It doesn't tell you why this journey must be undertaken. That's not considering all of the various puzzles that have to be figured out through observation and proper execution in this bleak world. Granted, there's nothing in Inside that will stump you for too long, but the wordless narrative and complete lack of context challenges you to figure things out alone. Hyper Light Drifter. Like the Legend of Zelda series, but mixed with futuristic nightmare fuel, Hyper Light Drifter is very obtuse. The basics of combat are explained, but progressing through dungeons and battling various foes is a task left up to the player. That also includes understanding the narrative, the affliction that the Drifter carries, and the mysterious civilization he comes across. It's an enthralling experience thanks to the retro aesthetic and surreal art style. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.